"What do you think?" I asked. "Why should I care? Make up your mind yourself." Lloyd brushed off the conversation. When I thought about how we could enjoy our remaining days in the Maldives without being bothered by anyone, my hesitation vanished. Once we got home, we quickly started packing. "Can we move right away?" "Yep, we're good to go." We had movers come immediately and they began hauling away our packed items. Then we headed straight to the real estate agent. We'd like to sell our home. The agent was incredibly helpful and arranged for a same-day sale. Now, Lloyd truly had no place to go back to. My name is Marcy, and I'm 43 years old. I currently live with my husband Lloyd in a Manhattan apartment. We got married 5 years ago. We haven't had kids due to marrying late. Lloyd often says, "Life isn't just about having kids." And that helps me live without feeling guilty for not being able to have children. Lloyd is 45 and in the prime of his working life. Recently, he's been working a lot of overtime and coming home late. I used to work at the same company as Lloyd, but quit after we got married. Lloyd said it would be awkward to work at the same company as his wife. Since then, I've been a full-time housewife. One day my sister-in-law from the neighboring town called. It had been a while, so when she called to say she was concerned about our mother's condition and couldn't check on her, I agreed to go. Sister-in-law is a dependable person. I've been grateful to her many times since marrying Lloyd. Sister-in-law has 2 kids who are in 9th and 12th grade, and they're both doing well. I hold sister-in-law in high regard, so it's no surprise her kids are turning out great. Of course, I went to check on my mother-in-law the next day. It's easy to see why sister-in-law is such a great person when you meet mother-in-law. I adore mother-in-law. She's straightforward, has strong opinions, and is mindful of others. I feel truly grateful to have met such wonderful in-laws like mother-in-law and sister-in-law. When I arrived and entered their house, I was shocked. The place was a mess, full of clutter and trash. It looked like a hoarder's house. Something was clearly wrong, as mother-in-law is normally very neat. Mother-in-law was just sitting there, doing nothing, looking spaced out. I called out, "Mother-in-law?" She slowly turned her head and said, "Who are you again?" As she stood up. She looked at Lloyd and said, "Oh, Lloyd. Welcome." We were stunned. Concerned by the sudden change in mother-in-law, we quickly made a doctor's appointment for the next day. After several tests, the results came back. She had dementia. Moreover, she needed long-term care. We called sister-in-law to come to the house and discussed what to do next. Taking care of someone long-term means that we'd need to look after my mother-in-law indefinitely at her home. Of course, public programs and private services are also options, but my sister-in-law offered, "Marcy, thanks for everything. I'll take it from here." Surprisingly, Lloyd objected. "No, your place is far, and moving your kids would be a hassle." True, my sister-in-law lives in the next town over, which would require her younger child to change schools. "We should move in with my parents to take care of them. What do you think, Marcy?" I was shocked. I never thought Lloyd was that responsible. Moved by his sincerity, I agreed. Of course, all for my beloved mother-in-law. And so began my daily caregiving life for my mother-in-law. We moved in with her and started our new life together. I managed the household and took full responsibility for mother-in-law's care. She'd wander off if you took your eyes off her, so I had to constantly watch her. Whether doing laundry, cleaning, or cooking, I was always monitoring her. Then I noticed she looked lonely. Was this life really making her happy? Even with dementia, she should still have moments of joy. Being under constant surveillance couldn't be fun. So I tried something. "Mother-in-law, would you like to help me fold the laundry?" Her face lit up. "I'd love to." Though her hands weren't as nimble, she was clearly enjoying the task. I was relieved that I'd made the right call. From that point on, instead of watching her, we did things together. Seemingly, she found moving around less of a chore. On sunny days, how about we have lunch in the park today? That sounds lovely. And off we went for a meal outdoors. I never found this life burdensome. Sister-in-law always handled hospital trips, and her kids visited mother-in-law often. But one person was completely uncooperative. Lloyd. The same Lloyd who'd said, "We'll take care of mother-in-law." He never lifted a finger to help. Sharing updates or asking for his input always met with disinterest or reluctance. When I'd ask for help, "I'm tired from work. Why should I tire myself more at home?" was his response. He'd been working late, so maybe he was tired, but some help would be nice. He didn't even talk to mother-in-law. When I'd suggest plans for her, "Why should I care? Decide yourself." He'd brush me off. As it stood, it seemed Lloyd only came home to sleep. Things had gotten to a point where it seemed like Lloyd was coming home from work just to sleep. One evening, 11 p.m. came and went, and Lloyd hadn't returned. He'd often been saying he was working late, coming home just past 11, so I assumed that was the case tonight and went to bed first. However, I found it hard to fall asleep that night. As I lay there, the clock ticked past midnight. Where's Lloyd? I thought, just as I heard a car outside. It's unusual to hear a car at this hour, so I looked out the window. The person getting out of the car was Lloyd, and in the driver's seat, there was a woman. They both got out and smiled at each other, and unbelievably, they kissed. Not just for a moment, they lingered. I spontaneously took photos with my phone, amazed at myself for doing it. The house has a bedroom on the first floor. Our bedroom window isn't far from the car, and the photos captured everything clearly. My hands were trembling from the shock. I heard the front door open, and I rushed back to bed. Those photos would later become my trump card. From that night on, I started watching Lloyd more carefully. There were many suspicious signs. Telling me he was working late itself was suspicious. I knew what kind of work Lloyd was doing because we used to work at the same company. I know what kind of work Lloyd does, and it's easy to see that it doesn't require overtime. That kind of lie could be easily checked. So I called up an old colleague, friend. "Long time no talk. What's up?" "Sorry for the sudden call, but I was wondering about Lloyd's department. Have they been really busy lately?" "Lloyd? No, I just got transferred from his department last month. It's not busy at all, actually." There's no way he could be doing overtime in such a relaxed department, which means Lloyd is likely spending time with his affair partner. My suspicions were confirmed. One morning, I saw Lloyd getting ready to leave with a large bag. "What's with the big bag?" I asked. Nervously, he replied, "I have a sudden week-long business trip. Take care of things while I'm gone." "Where are you going for a week?" I don't know yet. I'll find out when I get to the office. So I'll be going." And he left, evasively. I texted friend, "Is anyone scheduled for a business trip today?" "I haven't checked, but shouldn't be. No big projects lately." Just as I thought. So he's going to be away from home for a week to meet his affair partner? Then my mother-in-law called my name. "Marcy." She showed me a piece of paper. Written in Lloyd's handwriting were what appeared to be a hotel name, phone number, today's and tomorrow's dates, and a room number. "What is this?" "Before doing Lloyd's laundry last time, I found this note in his pocket. I wish I had given it to you sooner. I'm sorry, Marcy." "Do you also suspect Lloyd then?" "Marcy, we can't just turn a blind eye to this. Lloyd must be held accountable. There's no time for us to be down." The mother-in-law speaking was the strong woman I knew before her dementia. I felt more determined seeing this side of her after so long. "Absolutely. I will not let him off the hook." First, considering mother-in-law's opinion, we decided to call sister-in-law. As soon as sister-in-law arrived, she said, "Marcy, I'm so sorry. My brother is an idiot for doing such a thing. There's no need for you to apologize, I told sister-in-law as we planned our next moves. First, we checked the note and found out the location of the hotel. Lloyd was likely staying at this hotel for today and tomorrow. What would we do next? The next day, we decided to drive to the hotel in sister-in-law's car. We arrived at a hotel close to the airport and recognized a car in the parking lot. I looked at the pictures on my phone. Of course, they were the ones of Lloyd kissing another woman. It was the same car in those pictures. After a while, a familiar man came out of the hotel. It was Lloyd. We hid behind the cars to avoid being seen. Soon after, a woman came out and cozily linked arms with Lloyd. As I captured the scene with my phone, I couldn't believe what I saw. Both mother-in-law and sister-in-law were speechless. There was a little boy, about 1 year old, with them. The child happily held Lloyd's hand. The three walked happily, and they all walked off looking like a happy family. The real wife, me, was the one capturing this scene. Feeling miserable was the least of my concerns. The three of them headed to the airport, leaving their car at the hotel. Once they arrived at the airport, they laughed and killed time before disappearing into a flight gate. The destination was the Maldives. There was no longer any reason to hesitate. Thinking about how Lloyd would spend the remaining days there without any disruptions. When we returned home, we immediately began packing. I called a moving company and asked, "Can we move out immediately?" "Yep, that's no problem." They came to help us pack, and we temporarily stored our belongings at sister-in-law's place. Next, we went straight to a real estate agent. "I want to sell my house." The agent was incredibly kind and expedited the selling process for us. Now Lloyd had no home to return to. The thought alone made me feel refreshed. Afterward, mother-in-law and I checked into a nearby hotel where we would stay for a while. With that settled, there was something I had to confirm. Could the child with Lloyd's affair partner be his? To find out, I decided to consult a lawyer and a private investigator. The results of the investigation became clear right away. The report handed to me clearly listed that unfamiliar child as Lloyd's son. Lloyd had told me, "Kids aren't the only joy in life." But did he actually want a child? Did he have an affair because he couldn't have children with me? Only he knows the answer. But I can't keep this inside, as even my mother-in-law told me. I will never forgive him. 7 days later, my phone rang. It was Lloyd. "Hey, where are you? I can't get into the house. The key's not working." "That's because I sold the house." "What are you talking about?" "Hope you enjoyed your 6-day, 5-night trip to the Maldives. Must have been fun with your family of 3. Made some good memories, did you?" I could tell Lloyd was stunned on the other end of the line. I continued, "Your house is no longer there. We've moved and sold it. You should go back to your own child and that woman." "Wait, you misunderstand. That's not my kid. I was fed up with Lloyd's excuses and unleashed all my anger. "Don't you dare play games with me. You think your excuses are going to work now? I never want to see you again." For the first time, my usually talkative husband was silent. On speakerphone, my mother-in-law chimed in. "Lloyd, just so you know, there's no escaping this. We have all the evidence and our lawyer is listening to this call. You'll be getting a compensation claim from Marcy, so pay it without arguing. Also, from now on, I'm cutting off any mother-son relationship with you. Don't think you can fall back on me, and you can forget about any inheritance." "What? Mom, you're clearly not suffering from dementia." "Can you believe it? I have genuine dementia. But listen, if Marcy is this hurt and in such a tight spot, how can I not step up? Marcy has been by my side, taking care of me all this time. I can't just sit around being a useless mother-in-law when I can't even repay her kindness." Hearing those words, tears flowed from my eyes, even after what my husband did to me. I felt truly blessed to have such a kind mother-in-law and a supportive sister-in-law. I was the luckiest daughter-in-law. Later on, Lloyd paid the $80,000 compensation I demanded, all in one go. Although it was a high sum, thanks to my excellent lawyer, we managed to secure the full amount. While evidence photos helped, the most impactful was the revelation of his secret child. Though my inability to have children played a part, that's a complicated feeling. I reported every detail of Lloyd's affair to his company, and he became the talk of the office, but not in a good way. Everyone from his coworkers to his bosses started looking at him coldly. Even after paying the compensation, his savings depleted. He couldn't afford to quit, and he's living a miserable life working under those conditions. His affair partner turned cold on him once the money ran out, and he isn't even allowed to see his child. Yet he still has to pay child support, leaving him in a dire financial and emotional state. My sister-in-law's eldest got into college and moved out, so my mother-in-law moved in with her. I bought a piece of land and built a small house there, starting a new chapter in my life. I'm using my qualifications and working from home. I'm never lonely because my mother-in-law and sister-in-law frequently visit. My mother-in-law's dementia seemed to miraculously disappear. Doctors say it's not a full recovery, but she believes it's all thanks to Marcy. I plan to find more joy in my life and live each day happier than ever before.